Today we are diving into a topic that's super important when you are a tenant in France: your rights and responsibilities when renting an apartment or house in France. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Make sure to stay until the end so you will learn everything you need to know. Before we start, make sure to subscribe so you won't miss any new videos about relocating to France and renting in France. Let's start with your rights. As a tenant, you obviously have many rights. You have the right to have safe and comfortable living conditions, and you have the right to peacefully enjoy your apartment or the house that you are renting. This also means that your landlord cannot just barge in anytime unannounced. It's your space after all. If they need to come and visit the apartment to show it to new tenants or to do some repairs, they need to give you notice, and you have the right to refuse it if it doesn't suit you. The property that you are renting also has to respect a certain number of conditions for it to become a decent apartment or house. Let's see what those are. It has to have a living space of at least 9 square meters, and the height of the ceiling has to be at least 2.2 meters. It cannot be infested by pests such as rats or bedbugs, for example. It has to have access to drinkable water, electricity, a kitchen area with at least a sink, sanitation facilities, and a system for wastewater disposal. It has to have sufficient ventilation, natural light, heating equipment that meets standards, and also insulation against water and air infiltration. Your landlord is responsible to offer you at least these conditions for it to be considered as a proper apartment or house. You also have the right to decorate your new apartment. Contrary to popular belief, you completely have the right to make minor changes to your apartment, such as painting walls or hanging pictures, without having your landlord approve it beforehand. Just remember, major renovations had to be approved by the landlord before being made. If you do these minor changes, make sure to return the property to its original condition before giving back the keys at the end of the lease term so that you can get back your deposit. You have the right to receive rent receipts when you pay rent because they prove that you paid on time. Your landlord is required to provide you with them if you ask for it. Don't be surprised, some landlords and some agencies don't send you this automatically, but they must send you all your rent receipts if you ask them to do it. Now that we've seen your rights, let's see what your responsibilities are. First and foremost, paying rent and utilities on time is key. This is something that should be outlined clearly in your lease agreement, as well as the date when you need to pay and how you need to pay, whether it's to the landlord or it's to the managing agency. As a tenant, you're also responsible for minor upkeep, such as cleaning and doing some minor repairs at the apartment. You need to keep the space tidy and report any maintenance issues as soon as possible to the landlord. You also need to know that you cannot get someone to do repairs and expect your landlord to pay for them if you don't inform them beforehand. Even if you need someone to come to the house and repair something, you will need to get your landlord's approval. If you skip this step, your landlord will probably not pay for the repairs. If you live in a condo or even if you live in a house, you need to respect the rules established by the lease agreement. You obviously cannot cause any noise disturbance to your neighbors. You have to respect the common areas in the building and not store your personal belongings in these common areas. You can only use your accommodation for personal use. You cannot use it as your office unless it's stipulated clearly in your rental agreement. And one of the most important points, you cannot sublet your apartment without a written approval of your landlord. This is super important. If they catch you subletting the apartment without their approval, they can simply end the lease. If you live in a shared building, a copy of the rules of the building must be annexed to your rental agreement, so you should be aware of all the rules that you need to respect while living there. It may seem boring, but I strongly recommend you reading them so you won't be surprised by any rules that you are supposed to respect later on. When you're renting an apartment and you give a notice to your landlord, they have the right to show the apartment to new potential tenants. You are responsible for letting them do viewings. Obviously, the landlord or the agency who is handling the viewings need to respect some conditions. They legally have the right to show the apartment 2 hours a day, every business day. In France, rent renter's insurance is mandatory and absolutely necessary to get the keys to your new apartment. You will have to provide the agency with the certificate of insurance before getting the keys to the property that you are renting. Some agencies even require you to send them this paper when signing the lease. The renter's insurance is not a big expense that you need to expect. Depending on the type and the size of the space that you are renting, it ranges between 20 to 40 euros a month. The insurance is valid for 1 year. Usually it renews automatically, but you want to make sure that it's always active, and you will have to send a certificate to your landlord to prove that you are paying for this insurance and you are insured if anything happens. If issues arise between you and the landlord, you want to make sure to try to resolve them calmly at first. Try to reach out by phone, by email, and find a solution between only the two of you. If the disputes persist, you can send a more formal letter outlining your concerns. In more extreme cases, legal action can be necessary to enforce your rights as a tenant. But obviously, it's always better to avoid that. And there you have it, your rights and responsibilities as a tenant in France in a nutshell. Understanding these basics can make a huge difference in your renting experience, ensuring a fair and nice relationship with your landlord during the whole lease term. If you like this video and found it helpful, make sure to subscribe and like this video so you won't miss any new updates about relocating to France and renting in France in general. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Au revoir!